Hi, my name is Nick Broughton, and I'm a Randomfish. If you're a Randomfish too, hit that subscribe button, and let's be Randomfishes together. Now, I apologise for not bringing out a video last week, through various issues, most of which involving I didn't know what to talk about. I didn't know what film to review, I didn't know what to look at. I wasn't entirely sure what I could bring a new take to that you guys wouldn't have already surmised or wouldn't have already figured out about. I kind of tried to pride myself on finding things that not many people know about or few people know about. Hence why I've done things like the Spawn show, the Spawn HBO animated special, and such films like that, and Guy the Dark Hero. So, I was looking around, thinking about what it is that I wanted to review, and I decided to turn to Netflix for some answers. And bless Netflix, it came through with a very brilliant question, and it came through with a very brilliant result. It asked me, what is it that you would actually want to see and attempt to have something to talk about? The answer it gave me, That 70s Show. For those of you who don't know, That 70s Show was a very weird 8-season show that followed the lives of a bunch of teenagers, young adults technically as they would want to be known, who spend their lives in the basement of one of their friends, of the main character of the show's basement, while his parents berate him, his sister mocks him, and they try and navigate their lives throughout the remainder of the seasons. It's all very fun, it's all very interesting. Now, the show is primarily, it's primarily known for that it used to have childish versions, the young acting versions of various stars that we have today, including Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis. Now, Mila Kunis, I don't have a problem with her per se, but the problem is that every time I hear her voice, I don't think, wow, she's an attractive woman, or wow, she could actually do some very good acting. I just think, shut up, Meg. A lot of people will have this problem, especially if the first time you're exposed to Mila Kunis is Family Guy. And it unfortunately very much seeps into your brain and it does not stop. All you think about is shut up, Meg. You don't consider her in any other role, you don't see her in any other role, you just see her as Meg Griffin. And it's not great. But this show has done a rather interesting job at trying to get me to forget about Meg Griffin, and for the most part it's done a good job. Mainly because this character is very like Meg in a lot of ways, but she is her own unique character. So it's very much gone away from Shut Up Meg to Shut Up Jackie, her character's name in the show. Now, the show's main characters are Eric, Hyde, Kelso, Jackie, Donna, and Fitz. And Fez. Not Fitz. Fez. This is not Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Fez, as I kind of watch him, especially in the first couple of seasons, he says some lines that I swear I've heard the character of Raj say in Big Bang Theory. And unfortunately, in my mind, I have gone to playing the game of, well, hey, he must have been copying him for that, or he must have copied him for that joke, or blah, blah, blah. And it's all very well and good to say these things, but obviously it's a question of taste. It's a question of who you saw first, and I did see Big Bang Theory first. But that's not to say that I don't find Fez funny. He is incredibly... every one of these characters is brilliant. Fez is funny because he's an incredibly horny foreign kid who's an exchange student into their school, and he spends his time doing nothing but hitting on every woman he's ever come across, and he has more luck with it than some of the other main characters because he's got an accent working for him, because he's got the words working for him. He's got all these. He's much more eloquent than a lot of the other characters, which is very kind of cool to see. Kelso is your run-of-the-mill pretty boy who doesn't seem to have understood anything around him. He's the ultimate guy airhead. He is the type of person who I have met once or twice in my life, and I wanted to punch them every single time of how stupid they really are. It makes me want to slap them at half the time. The other time, I just want to wrap them up in a blanket and give them a mug of hot chocolate and sort of be like, it's not that bad, man. Like, it gets better, but oh, buddy, you're just going about it all wrong, and oh, you're so close. And then the rest of the time, like I said, I just want to slap them. Hyde is very much, he's the bad guy, he's the bad boy of the group. Bad guy, bad boy. As the show progresses, they all get older, so by the end of it, he is kind of like the bad guy, but not the antagonist of the show. He's the rebel. He's the Marlon Brando of the group, if you will. He spends his entire time talking about how the establishment sucks, how we've all been built up to believe things in a certain way when we should rebel against it and sort of create our own individuality within the system. He's the most level-headed, I think, of the group. You know, he's the wisest, I should say, definitely. He spends his entire time doing nothing but rebel against things. But when people actually ask him very serious questions, he is 100% a good person, and he tells you exactly what you need to hear in that situation in order to make you better. I love characters that can do that. I love writers that can do that. That is a genius thing to have in the show. Jackie, played by young Mila Kunis in the show, is the typical airhead girl. She's the one who's obsessed with clothes and being popular and her looks and nothing else. You know, you can sort of see where the couple, you know, you can see who becomes a couple, can't you, sort of within the show. It's kind of nice. Donna is the other female lead in this show. She is incredibly tomboyish. She still has a femininity, but she's a very strong feminist as well. She's constantly fighting for this, for an equal world, but obviously she's surrounded by people who just don't care about that, who just don't think it's a good thing. And it's really it's both hilarious and saddening to see just how far backwards we were as a society, even to something like the 70s. Of course, it might be different. It was probably different here possibly than it was in America, because obviously I'm doing this from Britain, so I don't quite know what Britain was like in the 70s, but it might have been the same thing, not quite as bad, I don't know. The men in that show are very traditional characters. And then there's Eric, the main protagonist of the show. He's the main guy of the show. It's his basement they always hang out in. It's his parents that always sort of make his life hell, be it his overbearing mother or his psychotic father. He remains, thankfully throughout the show, he remains the sensible one of the group. He constantly talks about how, you know, we need to think these things through, or do you really think these things should really go together, and blah blah blah. But he's also, unfortunately, the most influenced character on the show, because the second someone tells him something and goes, but that's fact, my man, that's fact, he believes them straight out. And it's not good. It's not a good thing to have in the show. But it's fun to watch as the episodes progress. Now, I've talked about the characters, but the other thing that I want to talk about before I get into things, and my favourite sort of things at the moment, is that I cannot binge watch all 8 seasons of the show. It was never going to happen, through a combination of things such as various adult things that I need to do, including shopping, cleaning the house, looking after things, looking after people, blah blah blah. I just didn't have enough hours in the day to really binge watch every single episode. So, I have covered the first 2 seasons. I'm currently on the 3rd season now, so I'll do the 3rd and 4th season next week. This is going to be my little That 70s Show marathon, if you will, where I talk about the differences between the characters and what they've sort of got on with over the course of the show, which is kind of nice, kind of cool to see. So the first season, I'm going to talk about where the characters are when we first meet them. Eric and Donna are the will they, won't they couple at the start. Mostly it's the will they, won't they get together, and then For the rest of the season, it's will they or won't they have sex. It's one of those bizarre things in shows where you're not quite sure what it is that you want to see happen, but you know you want to see something happen. So that's kind of cool to see. Hyde is the resident, like I said, the resident rebellious Marlon Brando type, the rebel without a cause in the show. Like I said, he offers genuine advice at various points, but other times he's saying, you know, strike a blow against the man, you know, fight for your rights in society, you know, the government doesn't control you, man, and all this sort of thing. He's very much that. Kelso and Jackie are a couple at the start of the show. Kelso is constantly going through the whole dumping her, don't want to dump her mentality. He wants to dump her because she's incredibly annoying and vapid and incredibly frustrating to the other characters, as well as to Kelso sometimes. But he doesn't break up with her because of the fact that they constantly make out, the fact that the fact that he's just as vapid and airheaded as she is, so that doesn't help. And then the third reason is just I just think he's just scared of doing anything like that. I just don't think he. The fascinating thing with Kelso is that he's the character that cannot stand to be alone. He cannot stand to have someone else not be with him. He's sort of the Joey of the show, which is kind of bizarre thing to think about, but it's the truth. There it is. And like I said at the beginning of the show, Kelso and Jackie are a couple. It's annoying to the group, but it's a thing, and Kelso constantly has to point out to them that, you know, they may not like Jackie, but she is his girlfriend, and therefore they just have to suck it up and deal with it. Throughout the season, various things happen. I didn't talk about Eric's parents yet, properly anyway. His dad is called Red. He's an ex-military man. He fought in the war, and he constantly works with the concept that if he's a hard ass and if he constantly disciplines his children and makes them fear and hate him, then he's done a good job. The only problem is that he's a complete and utter hypocrite because he dotes on his daughter, his older daughter, Eric's sister, who is Laurie, who is essentially the absolute bitch of the show. She's worse than Jackie. She's sort of a fully realised version of Jackie. She's a college version of Jackie. It's not good. And it's fun to see. It's fun to watch. It's fun to laugh at. And over the course of the show, you discover various things about the characters. Eric and Donna do get together. They do actually go on dates, and they do become a couple, and it's really nice and really sweet to see. You see Red go through some very interesting points with Eric. Don't think Red really wants to... Red wants Eric to succeed, but he doesn't want to give him any sense of affection or any kind of happiness from him, because he suddenly thinks that by doing that he'll turn his son into a pansy, and he doesn't want that. He wants his son to be strong and manly and everything else. And the show really focuses on the difference between one generation and the other, and it's quite interesting to see, because Eric's dad is very much the I fought in the war, I deserve respect, you know, manly is manly, this is womanly, these cannot coincide, blah blah blah. And so he hates everybody basically. The only two people he doesn't really hate are his wife and his daughter. I still don't think he loves Eric. I think he's okay with Eric. I think he likes Eric. I don't think he loves him at all. He has disdain for almost everybody and everything, including their own neighbours, which I will touch on in a moment. And Eric's mother, Kitty, as she's called, is the incredibly overprotective, religious, moralistic, very much the guiding arrow of Red's hate. Hate is an angry thing, but if it's directed properly at the right thing, then it's beautiful. And that's kind of what Kitty is. She's the one who calms Red down when he's really angry and helps him to sort of see sense and understand things from both perspectives in both sides of the camp, despite Red desperately not wanting to. He makes very strong cases throughout the show, sort of being like, I don't want to have to be nice to people for the sake of being nice to people. I think it's a stupid thing. And Kitty's like, yeah, but if you do this, and goes in with that, and he, of course, ends up caving, because it's what he does. I talked about the neighbours there for a second. The neighbours themselves are Donna's parents. The idea is that Donna and Eric have been neighbours for years, they've been friends for years, and now they want to start dating. I think it's a very interesting concept, really. I like the idea of childhood friends starting to date. You get that a lot, but it's mostly in kids' films, and it's also mostly not really, you never show them dating. You only ever see them, one of them try to win the other over, and then at the end of the film, they kiss, and that's it. It's not quite as epic, it's not quite as cool. It is, however, incredibly fun to watch these characters, because Donna's parents, her dad, Bob, was a member of the National Guard. He, quote-unquote, fought in the war as well. This is according to Red. Red doesn't think he played any part in the war. He shouldn't have any chance to sort of express himself, blah, blah, blah. That is a little bit of Season 3 talking. Just saying. But over the course of the first 2 seasons, we see glimpses into everyone's lives. We see the stories sort of progress. And one of the other things we get to see is, with Donna's parents, her father, Bob, is a very traditional man. He believes that a woman should be in the kitchen. He thinks he's got everything sorted for them for life. And his wife is attempting to find herself, to give herself more meaning in life. She keeps on going to these feminist type classes and whatnot, with her daughter's absolute backing, and she's completely fine with it. And Bob is just sat there with an expression on his face and the constant line of, where's my dinner? Obviously, speaking from someone who was born in the 90s, I was born into a world where this sort of thing was very much the norm. Feminism was very much the norm. Equal opportunities wasn't quite at the same level as it is now, but it wasn't as bad as the 70s. At least I don't think it was. I didn't really think it was. Then again, I was a child. What the hell do I know? But over time, Donna sort of explains to her father exactly why this is so important to her and to her mum. And there's a brief moment where the two of them try being separate but still living in the same house but dating other people. I believe Red says it best when he simply just points out, you're a dumbass. But there's more stuff over that as well. In the second season, Eric's sister Laurie tries this thing where she's bored, so she tries to sleep with Kelso on multiple occasions. And Kelso, of course, being Kelso, he's a vapid airhead who thinks he can co-spar in life on his looks. This is the thing about Kelso. He truly believes that life will be absolutely fine for him because he's a good-looking guy. And it's the same thing for Jackie. She thinks life will be fine because she's a good-looking woman. I hear they change over the seasons, but I'm sort of waiting for that development to occur because I'm still sat there, still thinking to myself, you are such annoying, pretentious little gits. I just want to strangle you both. Well, more strangle Kelso than strangle Jackie, because you don't hurt women. That's not being a feminist. That's just an honor thing. I refuse to hurt women. But there's a lot of fun sort of being thrown in there, and it's very interesting to sort of watch. It's interesting to see. Laurie and Kelso does cheat on Jackie with Laurie, and Jackie does find out. And they do break up, and it is a long-lasting breakup. Like, it's not just the last time that it happened. They broke up very briefly, and it was about an episode, maybe 2 episodes before they were back together, and everything was fine. This has, even now into season 3, involved Kelso trying to win Jackie back and failing miserably. And I like that. The episode I'm currently on involves the ski lodge, where he plans to win Jackie back. And I don't know if he wins her back after this episode. If he does, I'll mention it in my next video. But it's cool to see a show that deals not only with the breakup, but the long-lasting effects on it, especially with teenagers. Adults, it's a bit different, I think. When you break up with someone, yes, it hurts, but you have all these other things going on in your head that you have to deal with. When you're a teenager, there's nothing but that. Even if you have school and work and friends and a job and anything else, it all takes a back seat to when you break up with someone. Because when you break up with someone as a teenager or being broken up with when you're a teenager, that's all you can think about, and all you focus on is where did it go wrong? What did I do? What can I do to fix it? Blah, blah, blah. And I love that that was a centerpiece thing throughout throughout some of the episodes. And it's great. It's not something that I could ever see being done well outside of that setup, though. Mainly because I think that 70s show, much like Seinfeld, possibly Frasier, a whole bunch of these big comedy shows, I don't think something like that could ever be repeated, because the show is so comedic and so bent on slapstick humor. It is very much this. It is a comedy show at its heart. So when it does the very serious stuff, that stuff is so well done and it's so well executed and it's lovely to see. So that's my review for the first 2 seasons. My overall review is very simple. I loved them both. I like this show. I love to see where it's going. I cannot wait to watch the rest of the episodes. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a blast. So hopefully you'll join me on this journey. Obviously you don't actually have to watch the whole show. Just if you remember anything that you like. How about this, guys? In the comments or on the Facebook post when I send it there, or in Twitter or whatever. I'll link my Twitter handle down below so you can send me some tweets or anything like that. But seriously, tell me your favourite 70 show episode for the first 2 seasons, or from any of the seasons. Just let me know, and I'll wait for them to come up, and I'll be waiting with anticipation. Okay? Enjoy. Hopefully you come and watch the show now if you haven't seen it already. If you haven't and you watched this review, then you really are morons. But please, check out the show. It's a lot of fun. Randomfish out.